General Neyland Stadium was built by games like this as we welcome you to one of the fiercest rivalries college football has celebrated through the years. Bama Crimson, Vol Orange, a color clash for the 97th time. It's one of the South's true sports spectacles. Tennessee, Alabama. It's written some of college football's greatest stories. Now a chance to witness the crafting of the next chapter. From the banks of the Tennessee River, with 102,000 ready to roar, you're watching the SEC on ESPN. Neyland Stadium here in Knoxville. Number 4 Alabama trying to maintain their status as a top playoff contender, as a young Tennessee team with a hungry and talented defense has sized them up. A rivalry so ingrained in the culture of this sport, simply referred to by its old traditional date on the calendar, the third Saturday in October. We know it's the 4th. No matter when they play, it's been Bama lately. 7 straight. And as if these two need any more fuel to their long-standing rivalry fire, this was the scene at 5:21 this afternoon as Lane Kiffin returned to the place where he has been vilified. Former Vols coach who left in January 2010. Now the Bama offensive coordinator. The much anticipated return of Lane Kiffin to here at Rocky Top, as we say good evening and welcome to another prime time night in the SEC. Joe Tessitore alongside Brock Heward. We'll say hello to Shannon Spake in just a few moments. Brock, nobody on this Tennessee team was around when Lane Kiffin was here in 2009. No matter which way you go here, there's one way, Bama's way in recent years.
That's right, and in these rivalry games, that really stings as a player. Somewhere I'm going to guess Peyton Manning doesn't play tomorrow. He's watching this game, and he has tremendous pride that he never lost to Alabama in his career as a volunteer. On the other side tonight, you've got A.J. Johnson, who came back to school, and I promise you, did not come back to school to lose every single season to Alabama. These rivalry games do mean a little something extra for those players.
Wow, was Bama rolling last week, and do they look good as we get close to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee's first rankings? But they have had some issues on the road.
They've got to travel. Their defense has traveled. You hear that all the time about elite defenses, and theirs is right on the verge of that kind of label. But offensively, they've really been challenged to run the ball. That will be so key to settle their quarterback down on the road. If they run it, they can take some of the sting out of this fan base that is ready to pounce.
One of the great moments in the sport. And they're going to run right through that tee. The Vols in front of these fans that want it so badly tonight. And the coach that they felt had them pointing in the right direction and then left after a year has returned with mighty Alabama. And injuries, though, are playing a major role with the Vols tonight. Like, who will be playing at quarterback, and what will this shuffled offensive line look like? We'll answer those questions and have kickoff when we come back to Rocky Top.
Locked in. You got my back.
I got your back.
You got my back.
I got your back.
I got your back tonight. And everyone in orange has each other's back tonight on every single play. Locked in. Subs, special teams, just do your job. And we live the game maxims, and it's going to be a great night for the Big Orange. One.
The team that makes few mistakes win.
Practice it every day. Maxim 1. Live it. Take care of the football. We need to start generating some turnovers on defense. 2.
Play for it, make the breaks. One comes out, way score.
63 effort.
From the current head coach, Butch Jones, to the great General Robert Neyland, who said, you never know what a football player is made of until he plays Alabama. We will find out what Tennessee is made of. How can Tennessee compete with Bama tonight if the Vols want to pull an upset here, Brock?
General Neyland would like a lot of these defenders.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of kids from Tennessee that can play on that side of the ball. That's a top 20 defense. It's one of the best in the country, number 1 in the SEC on third down. I said earlier, Alabama's got to run the ball to have success with their quarterback. Tennessee's got to stop that run. They get them to third down. They have an opportunity to hang tonight.
Great concerns with Justin Worley all week long, starting quarterback for the Vols. He left the Ole Miss game with an injury. Asked for who will play quarterback tonight. Here's Shannon. Good evening, Shannon.
Hi, Joe. Well, Coach Jones told me moments ago that Justin Worley will not play tonight. and according to coaches, quote, no timetable for his return. He did have a strength test yesterday, and Jones told me that while he could throw the ball, there was no velocity, and he doesn't want to risk having him further injured tonight. Worley did go through warm-ups in his uniform. He'll be on the sideline with both of the quarterbacks who will play here tonight. Nathan Peterman, the redshirt sophomore, will start first, and expect Josh Dobbs to go in around the third series, but of course that could all be situational. Coach did tell me with Dobbs in the game, expect a little bit more of a run game from the quarterback. But Brock, Joe, how will they have to adjust without Justin Worley in this game?
So Dobbs and Peterman, says Shannon, and perhaps we see some others, maybe some wildcat action, get some of those athletes in the backfield. As Alabama won the toss, they defer. Tennessee will receive the opening kick here in Knoxville. Foreman and Berry back deep for the Vols. As the talented Adam Griffith to kick away for the Tide. And this is the true freshman, Evan Berry. Well blocked and a good return for Tennessee, as he was taken down by Reggie Ragland for Alabama. So with Justin Worley out, they turn to Nathan Peterman. He himself missed some extended time after surgery on a broken thumb last year. This year he's been limited, just 15 pass attempts and 39 yards of passing. As Worley will look on. And Jalen Hurd will try to get around the side, and he does, as he got past Ragland and then was taken down and forced out by Trey DePriest. But that's a good start for the true freshman as he goes for 12 yards.
To answer Shannon's question, what do you do with two new guys under center? That's exactly what you do. You get a mix of that run game going. You're going to see lots of tempo and formations. Feel very comfortable that these quarterbacks can handle this system.
And go with the screen this time to Von Pearson, the JUCO transfer, 23 years old, quite an athlete. He goes for 8 yards. Good start for the Vols as they have crossed midfield in 2 plays. Up tempo for Tennessee on this opening drive. Delay with Hurd. And he spins ahead close to the 41. That's a first down for Tennessee.
I'll tell you what you're seeing here in the first 3 snaps is Alabama saying we can just line up and play our base defense and take care of Tennessee. And that's not the case. An 11-yard first run, moving the chains. Very good movement on early downs. This has been a Tennessee run game that's been one of the most challenged in college football.
First down pass now batted down and incomplete. That was Jarek Williams, the defensive back, who was up at the line of scrimmage to make that play.
Here's your first look at a little bit of pressure as well. As I said, based on every other call, and this time you're going to bring both the nickel back there, Jarek off the side, as well as Ragland up the middle. Reggie Ragland, who's having an all-SEC kind of year from his linebacker position.
This is the direct snap now, and Jalen Hurd gets out after a gain of maybe 3 yards.
Can you imagine the confidence that can be built offensively if you get your opening drive and just find a way to get points? You get a first down here, you move these sticks, you put yourself in range, in scoring position range, which would be huge for the psyche of this offense.
3rd and 7. And a sack. Peterman taken down by Xavier Dixon. 6.5 sacks on the year now for Dixon.
4th in the conference at getting to the quarterback, and you can expect to see plenty of line stunts and movement up front in these passing situations. This is a beleaguered offensive line. Lots of new pieces. True freshmen. even a player with one ACL going for night in Jacob Gillum, and I promise you in pass downs, you're going to see plenty of different movement looks from the Crimson Tide.
Senior Matt Carr on to punt. Cyrus Jones puts his heels on the 10-yard line. And this sails into the end zone. 46-yard punt for a touchback. As Tennessee was able to move the ball before that third down when Dixon did his damage. Lane Kiffin calling the plays from down on the field. First time that Nick Saban has had that in a coordinator. And of course, you heard the cascade of boos that came down as he sends out his fifth-year senior Blake Sims.
Best on the move. I would expect him to get some play pass early, find a way to get your best receiver involved. Nobody targets one receiver more than the Crimson Tide and Amari Cooper. I like Blake at his best when he's moving.
Chris Black running out late as they go 2-by-2 bunch formation. And they're going to boot this and get Cooper coming out in space where he is so dangerous. Amari Cooper. See ya. Tide rolling early, just like last week. Nothing's changed. Brian Randolph absolutely whiffed on the tackle, and Cooper was gone. 80-yard touchdown by Amari Cooper. Welcome back to Rocky Top, Lane.
Lane Kiffin scripts his first 16 plays, and he wanted to come out on that first drive and have some play pass. He gets in the 2-by-2 look. They're a little late to line up. Tennessee is caught looking in the backfield. A wonderful call, getting Amari Cooper in a new position, sliding him underneath the line of scrimmage, and making the Volunteers pay.
False start. Offense, number 50, 5-yard penalty, remains on the try.
Can you imagine how good that feels to the offensive coordinator? You spend all week in your game plan, and as I said, these West Coast background coordinators love to script their plays. It's only pregame he's got the first 16 scripted. He anticipated the coverage. He knew he wanted to get Cooper the ball, and then his personnel delivers.
And he misses the extra point after it was pushed back. No excuse for Adam Griffith there. First PAT missed for Griffith. But Amari Cooper and Blake Sims, boy, did they make it look easy. The man who leads the SEC in receptions. 1 for 1, and the big score to open it up. Lane Kiffin's offense in Alabama outgained Texas A&M by 430 yards last week. They just went for 80 yards on one play. Amari Cooper's 8th touchdown reception of the year. Blake Sims' 14th touchdown pass of the year.
And you heard the cascade of boos earlier when Lane Kiffin came out. One of the cool scenes was to watch Amari Cooper and DeAndrew White, a couple veteran players, come right up to Lane Kiffin and say, hey, we got your back tonight.
Foreman will take a knee. I'll take you back to 2009 when Lane Kiffin was the head coach of Tennessee, going up against then #1 Alabama. And this was a thriller back then. Remember Mount Cody, the 350-pound nose guard, blocked a 44-yard field goal attempt. And the final play, 12-10, Alabama escaped Kiffin's Vols back then.
Hard to fathom that was the last winning season here in Knoxville. 7-6 and oh so close. If just one of those field goals can go the other way, to an even better first season, first outing, and only outing for Lane here at Tennessee.
And here's Peterman as they ran that option play where he can give or sprint and throw, and he throws incomplete. Nathan Peterman starting tonight at quarterback as Justin Worley is out, injured his shoulder late in the game against Ole Miss. He's been taking a beating this year. Worley suffered 30 sacks in the course of 7 games. Jalen Hurd, big freshman, is a top recruit, future of this program. He's been playing well during the middle of his freshman season for 7 yards.
Asked Butch pretty clearly yesterday, when adversity gets offensively and you've got some real challenges on your offensive line, a backup quarterback that could play, who's your difference makers? Who are some of your young leaders that are going to be the voice? And he pointed right to this kid, even as a true freshman, as one of those real alpha males on his offense, one of those real leaders and doing it from a very, very young age.
3rd and 3 as he runs out. Now they swing it to Hurd. And Hurd tries to slither his way past Cyrus Jones, and he's going to be close to that mark as he's the linesman with his foot that looks just to be in front of that line to make. And they send the punt team out into the field. That spot has him short. And on the way to Cyrus Jones.
Nothing to lose if you're Tennessee in these special teams games. Watch it all night long.
Gar turns this one over as the fair catch is just beyond the 20-yard line. A 45-yard punt by Gar. Bama's offense back out there when we come back.
ESPN College Football Primetime is brought to you by the agile all-new Audi Q3, Stray the Course, and Viagra.
Pre-game here as Tennessee circles round that drum line, and A.J. Johnson, the All-America candidate, trying to get his team psyched up for a big challenge here against Bama. They've lost 22 straight to top 10 teams, has Tennessee. Last top 10 win was all the way back in '06. And what do you do for an encore? Play 2 of the night for the Tide. 80-yard touchdown strike to open up the night. Here's Sims now. Look at the time. And he threw it just beyond T.J. Yeldon. Impact players are brought to you by Chick-fil-A, Brock.
Well, you already saw one of them, and they tried to get their other playmaker the ball right there. Actually had T.J. Yeldon. It's Yeldon on the ground, and as I said, their run game and their number splits home and away have been a big, big reason why the Tide have struggled offensively. And over 400 tackles for A.J. Johnson right in the middle. He's a 3-down linebacker. He is going to play a long time in the NFL. And he came back for his senior year for nights like this.
2 tights now for Bama with Yeldon as the single back, and he goes off right tackle where he was met by Justin Coleman. Third down for what has been the refrain.
Best in the SEC.
Third and 7. Sims, quick strike right into the pocket of Cooper. Third down for that. 14-yard reception, and they move the chains.
You can see Tennessee pre-snap trying to change the picture there for Blake, but once again, tremendous protection. He missed Yeldon on a very similar concept on the first down. He doesn't miss Coop to move the chains on third down.
And on the slant this time, the Chris Black, it's incomplete. Shannon.
Well, Joe, after that first drive, Lane Kiffin brought his guys around, and he was sitting with them, figuring out what they were able to do so well. And he looked at me and he said, you know, it was just one play. So certainly knows that there's a long way to go in this game, but they did establish that first goal number 1 of early success.
That was early success indeed. 80-yard touchdown to Cooper. They had Sims in the boot. Cooper coming with him, and then he turned it upfield with all that speed. Here's the toss now. Yeldon patiently waited for the blockers to set up and still trying to drive a bit. And then Tennessee gang tackling and sending him back. They'll give him forward progress out towards the 43-yard line.
And here you go again, another third down situation, and Blake trying to hurry up and get his guys aligned, not let Tennessee dictate with all their looks. Try to use that tempo, and here comes a penalty for 12 men on the field.
Substitution infraction, 13-minute formation, then 12-minute formation, 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
So loud here at Neyland. Nick Saban has seen his quarterback with a 95.9 third down quarterback rating. It's the second best in all of major college football. Only Dak Prescott, the Heisman frontrunner, is better than Sims with a third down QBR. 3rd and 9 now for Alabama. Cooper is on fire early. To the 41. 21 more yards for Amari Cooper.
And everybody basically, when you play Cooper, is going to try to play a safety over the top. And one way to beat that coverage, there you see it, there's some of the cloud coverage with the safety over top, is those in-breaking routes. Been very successful here early.
Here goes Cooper again. Can you possibly have a better start to a game than this? Amari Cooper, 41-yard touchdown. How's a $155 and 2 scores sound for Lane Kiffin's main man of this offense right now?
One of the challenges Tennessee has is they love to play man coverage. Cameron Sutton is a really good press corner. He likes to play man-to-man, having to get out of character tonight to try to cloud cover to play that safety over the top. And right now, Alabama's got a good secondary on their heels.
Another big moment for Kiffin and Cooper. Sims ain't too shabby either, folks. You got Redskins and Cowboys. Monday Night Football, 8:15 on ESPN. No other night is Monday night. Cowboys are so balanced. They got that running attack working to go along with Tony Romo leading the NFC East. That's Monday night at 8:15.
Clearly know who and what their identity is this season. And I'll tell you, the bind that Amari Cooper is putting Tennessee defensively in is Tennessee's come in with a game plan that Arkansas and Ole Miss had, and that was Amari Cooper's not going to beat us. We're going to play a corner on top of him with a safety over the top and try to give him help. And that's not in their nature. That's not the DNA of John Jancek's group, of why they've been the 6th best pass defense in America. They're more of a man team, and I bet you from here on out, you're going to scrap some of this plan and get back to what your guys do best.
Big leg from Griffith. Let's say hello to Chris Cotter in the studio.
Hello, Joe. Brock over on ESPN. Ole Miss and LSU and Death Valley. You know how tough the Rebels are inside the 5, and they prove it here. Leonard Fournette trying to force his way into the end zone, but he fumbles the football. Cody Pruitt would recover, so we remain scoreless. 0-0 between LSU and Ole Miss. Ole Miss has just scored, rather, to take a 6-0 lead. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Chris. We got a new quarterback in for Tennessee, as we expected to see Joshua Dobbs. Josh Dobbs started the final 4 games of last year. Justin Worley, the starter, out injured. Peterman went, and now Dobbs gets his turn. And he gets it out to Jalen Hurd, and Hurd was able to keep his balance. Finally taken down by Jarrett Williams, and that's a first down for Tennessee.
And this was the plan all the way along. You heard Shannon say in the open of our show they expected the third series of the game based on the flow and how it's gone. I know Dobbs would rather be coming in not down 13, but this was the plan. This is no reaction to a slow start.
And they go with the jet sweep with Pearson, and he just couldn't make that cut. May have gotten a yard turning the corner, but Eddie Jackson was there with pursuit.
Going to be difficult into the short field there, into the boundary. I'm excited to see Dobbs tonight, though. This is a kid that's put on over 25 pounds from when he enrolled. Remember, he got his first taste as a true freshman last year against this Alabama team.
He led Tennessee to the first touchdown drive scored against Bama last year down in Tuscaloosa. Talk about being thrown into the fire. 2nd and 9. Quick strike on the quick seam, and it should have been caught by Ethan Wolf.
That's yet another true freshman. Upwards of 6 true freshmen have started for Tennessee on this offensive side of the ball. You get what you want, and that's a beautiful throw. Ragland gets his hands in there, but that's a play that Wolf has got to come down with. And a couple throws here early. And even though he's had no action all season long, you're seeing some of that practice work and preparation pay off for Dobbs.
Hadn't taken a single snap before this series. 3rd and 9. A little bit of pressure off the edge as he steps up, and then they get to him. As you're seeing a lot of Alabama players, and since that Arkansas game, everybody's meeting at the football, this Tide defense.
Even Kirby Smart said, I don't know if I've watched game tape of our kids playing harder than they did a week ago. And I sent you guys a bunch of screen grabs in our week of preparation. 6, 7 Crimson Tide players getting to the football against A&M a week ago. And he wanted to see whether or not his guys could match some of that emotion and intensity. And that's 3 series and now the 3rd consecutive punt for Tennessee.
Maybe a busy night for Matt Carr, the senior punter. He turns that one over again. He's been striking the ball well. Fair catch at around the 10-yard line by Jones. 48-yard boot by Dar. Now flag is down at about the 27-yard line.
And that was a little extracurricular activity away, completely away from the play. As I think you're seeing some of the frustration of a Tennessee team that did not expect to come into this venue with 104,000 having their back and play, especially this kind of defense. Which said, he'll have my back, you got my back. He doesn't like any of that. Because penalties have been the one area they have been really, really good this season, not hurting themselves.
They have been disciplined. But boy, have they been young. And that inexperience, tough road to go down in the SEC when you need to grow up quick. Coach Jones in his 2nd year. Matt Moore is our referee here tonight.
We got the paper out there. I wonder if there was a punch thrown or some of this conversation, an extended conversation.
Coach Saban waits to hear the results of this conference. We're spending some time with Coach Saban. A few weeks ago, I asked him, how do you think you've gotten better as a coach through the years? He said one simple word: patience.
Especially, I think, with this team in particular, a group that he really, really likes. Just as guys that are willing to do whatever it takes. He said in some ways, they're almost too nice. And they've put too much pressure on themselves. Some of that feeling of not cutting it loose and playing not to lose because it's such a just fine group of young men.
After the play, Dead ball, personal foul on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
All of that for a personal foul. Bottom line is Bama's back out there on offense when we come back.
Well, during that last series here on the Tennessee sideline, defensive coordinator John Jancic spent the majority of the time talking to his secondary. His number one plan coming into this game was to stay on Amari Cooper, not to give him any space. The message just now was simple to his guys: stay on his hip.
4 times, Shannon, Amari Cooper's been targeted. He has 4 catches, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Well, let's see if stay on your hip means we're going to play a little bit of man and stop playing some of this cloud zone coverage.
See Sims trying to communicate with the roar of 102,000. As Yeldon fighted for about a yard there, tackled by A.J. Johnson and the rest.
You know, a week ago, Cameron Sutton played Laquan Treadwell one-on-one. He wanted that coverage. He wanted that plan. And Treadwell and Ole Miss, 4 receptions, and they really played good defense into the 4th quarter of that game. That first snap was a little more of their traditional man-to-man, and you can see Sutton once again at the bottom of your screen. That's going to be the matchup. That's the guy you got to slow down.
And here goes another guy that's tough to slow down, T.J. Yeldon. Dirk Majik got to him, but not after 16 yards by Yeldon.
It's a little different start than the last 2 trips on the road for the Crimson Tide in a big, big way.
This is what they look like when they've been playing down in T-Town. Andrew White, just a little now route. And that gets them close to midfield. 8 more yards for Blake Sims.
Look at what it's done to this crowd here that's fighting like mad to stay involved. It's a big reason why Lane Kiffin said we need to experience that success early. Exactly what Shannon reiterated just a few minutes ago. You find success early, and this fan base, no matter how angry, how hostile they may be towards you, a lot harder to cheer when you're looking at a goose egg.
Here's a bubble to White. Picks up the first block, turns on the speed, cuts back, and he gets it inside the 35, a 17-yard reception. Brian Vogler, the 6'7" tight end, had a nice block there.
And you know what else? When that crowd is quiet, all of a sudden Lane can communicate on the sidelines like he does in Tuscaloosa. You can get those personnel groups in and out, and he's not having to scream and yell as he was in Oxford and even in Fayetteville just a couple weeks ago.
Derrick Henry now in at running back. The tough-to-tackle 241-pounder. Get him after about 2.5 yards that time. Good job by Derek Barnett, the true freshman, who's been a real surprise this year for Tennessee, emerging SEC star.
One other key for Alabama tonight as well is they get their starting center back. In many ways, the MVP of that offensive line. No surprise, their protection and communication's been pretty good because Ryan Kelly is right back at home in the middle.
2nd and 7. Sims, so elusive. Launches it downfield, and inside the 5, it is caught by Cooper. Down to the 1-yard line. 30 more yards for Amari Cooper. 5 receptions, 185 here in the first quarter. Great job that time by Brian Randolph.
And Joe,
we're tied for first for the most tackles by a defensive back in the SEC with Landon Collins on Alabama.
And we're just 10 minutes in, but this feels like a really big moment. All of the conversation about keeping the energy and keeping the emotion going in this building. You can see Blake trying to get to some of those longer, short yardage calls. More than likely, that's why the wristband comes on. The closer you get to the goal line, typically the longer the language to make sure all the personnel groups, formations, movement, and everything is in order.
Play clock is down to 5 here. 2nd and goal. And they're going to use a timeout. See Saban's concern there. So we'll use the timeout with 2nd and goal. Bama knocking on the door again when we come back to Rocky Top. Joe, Brock, and Shannon here in Knoxville. 13-0 Alabama, as their offense has had their way with Tennessee, with Amari Cooper setting them up again. 2nd and goal as they just used the timeout.
Just couldn't script it any better. Butch Jones knew coming into this game some of the challenges physically, some of the matchups he would have. But he's looking at an Alabama team that looks very different than the teams that he's watched away from Tuscaloosa. Week 1, West Virginia, the two I mentioned earlier, at Ole Miss and at Arkansas. This is a group that's come out with tremendous tempo here offensively early.
Look back at that West Virginia game now. Think about West Virginia this year and how good they have looked and some of the wins West Virginia has now come up with. It's actually flattering to Alabama when you reflect on that meeting on August 30th. Here's your 2nd and goal. Yeldon's the lone back. Ball came out there. That ball looked to come out right before Yeldon got to the goal line. They are signaling 3rd down. Watch the ball here, Brock. Oh, it is out, no doubt about it. Yeldon, you see his arm right on it right away. Well, he was fortunate to be in that position. Flag is down as Yeldon crossed in, but we'll check on that as Jalston Fowler was sealing that edge.
Offside, number 9. A penalty is declined. Touchdown.
That been on Alabama, I think you would have gone back to that 2nd down. We'd have taken another look because I think Yeldon fell in when he recovered that fumble, but it's a moot point now.
Looked like he was close, if not on that line. But the 1-yard touchdown run for TJ Yeldon, that's now his 5th rushing touchdown of the year.
His lateral cuts, he actually gains speed and momentum. It is amazing how good he is keeping that speed even when he cuts, and what an amazing start for your Crimson Tide.
Yeldon punched it in. Alabama 20-0 here. When Alabama's a top 10 ranked team, Nick Saban is 49-0 against unranked opponents. To the best of the research we found, Brock, top 10 versus unranked, that's the best record by any head coach at a single school in the history of the AP poll. Saban 49-0 as a top 10 team against unranked opponents.
Pretty remarkable. And that's got to feel pretty good for Blake Sims to come out on the road and put the performance that really he's put up at home. And Lane Kiffin saying to us this week that if they could just play every game at home, Blake would be a front runner for the Heisman. His numbers have been that phenomenal in Tuscaloosa. Their offense has. And this looks like their offense has looked in those home games, those dominant efforts in Tuscaloosa.
Evan Berry on the return of the shorter kick. Let's check in the studio with Chris.
Joe, Brock, time for a Dr. Pepper conference update. Let's keep it in the SEC after that LSU turnover. It's Cody Core. Look at him fly in the air. And he gets the ball over the pylon over on ESPN. Ole Miss with a 7-0 lead over LSU. Meanwhile, on the SEC network, South Carolina broke out on top of Auburn first, but here comes Nick Marshall finding Brandon Fultz, the equalizer. They're all tied. That's 7, guys.
Thanks, Chris. Quarterback run this time by Dobbs. He gives them more of that dimension, Brock. Reggie Ragland with the tackle. He's been so active in recent years.
Like a lot of these strength coaches around college football, they will take a picture of their prospect when they come to town and then take pictures throughout their career. And to see his evolution and growth, and to think that he played against this team last year about 183 pounds, and now he's pushing 210, 212. They really hoped, I believe, to redshirt him this year, but unfortunately that injury to Worley has pressed him into action tonight.
Play action. And this is Alex Ellis. That was a really nice, relaxed, and targeted throw by Dobbs for 25 yards to Ellis.
You see some of that tempo once again, and that's the one area that Alabama can be a little bit vulnerable at times when you get into some of those bunch formations and you play with a little bit of tempo, as Ole Miss did in the fourth quarter of that game. That's really good execution and part of the plan for tonight.
Dobbs again going to take a shot downfield and was looking for Josh Malone, the speedy true freshman.
That's a matchup they wanted right there. That's a safety in Nick Perry. That's not one of the corners outside. And one-on-one shots, once again, a part of the game plan tonight for offensive coordinator Mike Bajakian. He knew he couldn't just line up against these guys and reestablish the line or just sit in the pocket. He wants to take his shots, and he had a one-on-one there that he could hit.
2nd and 10. Hurd again out of the backfield. And Landon Collins was tracking him. Jalen Hurd's going to be a good one down the road. He's been getting a lot of time here. Had 119 rushing yards at Georgia.
He's going to go through that same transformation that Dobbs has as well, with another year in the weight room. He's only going to be bigger and faster and stronger, and he's doing all of this, like many of these volunteers, as true freshmen.
Tennessee searching for their first 3rd down conversion. 3rd and 9. Pressure came up the middle as he threw it to the outside of Malone.
And it came up the middle, and it came on a corner blitz there as well. And that's Jonathan Allen, one of those Crimson Tide defensive players that was recruited for schemes like this. And you can see the corner blitz with Cyrus Jones and some of that quickness and strength of Jonathan Allen. And living in 3rd and 9 is going to be a real problem for Tennessee, as it has been, is now 4 drives and 4 punts.
Already Dar's 4th punt of this first quarter, as you noted. Tries to position this along the sideline, and he does so just beyond the 10-yard line. Reminder, good way to get your NFL Sunday started is to tune in for Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by Snickers. That's at 10 a.m. on ESPN. And Fantasy Football Now, presented by Papa John's, 11 a.m. on ESPN2. Have you noticed I don't talk about my fantasy football team?
Struggling?
Oh, that's an understatement, my friend.
You know who's not struggling? And they showed him on the jumbo screen about 5 minutes ago. That'd be Peyton Manning. Maybe playing his best football in his now 17th year, I do believe. Amazing that he just continues to get better and better, and they're awfully proud of him in this part of the country.
Yeah, only 11,201 yards here in his time at Tennessee.
And a lot of kids in these stands named Peyton.
And they're all about 17 years old, Brock. Derrick Henry.
Kids, you not walking around town today. There was a bunch of moms yelling, "Peyton, come here." Very few as popular now in 2 NFL cities, in Indianapolis for everything he did there for so long, in Denver now, and obviously it all started for him here in an incredible career.
Well, he still stays very much connected to things here in Knoxville. He's been supporting Butch Jones's effort in a program that is trying to head in the right direction as Derrick Henry takes it out to the 23-yard line, a gain of 12. And the recruiting here at Tennessee has truly been superb in recent years. Todd Kelly Jr. a big part of that, true freshman. They are so young. They've been getting all these 4- and 5-stars out into the field. Butch Jones, and you talk to him about the big picture, will say, listen, guys need experience. They're hitting the field. 23 freshmen have played this year alone. Sims, a vertical release for DeAndrew White, but they couldn't connect.
This is a different picture, as you saw Butch Jones with his arms crossed. This is a different picture than what he has seen this season from the group that's on the field right now. This Tennessee defense, and you see Butch right there, he's not happy that Alabama snuck a player on very late. He's had a lot of conversations with the Zebras. And Alabama had snuck a player on that never came inside the numbers. And he's on every single detail. But this group defensively has been number 18 in the country. They have not taken a beating in the first quarter against anybody like this, let alone at home.
Bama 253 total yards as we have a half-minute to play here in the first quarter. And that wheel route thrown behind Derrick Henry.
You can see Blake telling him, hey, I got you there. I'm trying to hit you early in that route. Derrick Henry, 6'3", running back himself, trying to get going. And these fans, they're trying to get going with this third down defense. It's been a staple of some of their defensive success this season. But not tonight.
And Bama stayed perfect early on here on third downs. 3rd and 10. It was thrown to the inside of Cooper. It was covered by Cameron Sutton.
And you can see him. And you know what that reaction is? That reaction is what John Jancic and Butch have talked about, and that's taking the ball away. That's not good enough. With the offense right now in the state of disrepair that it is, and setting a guy already with 3 interceptions, 5 in his career, freshman all-conference last year, that's a play that if he jumps and he gets his eyes around, instead of knocking it down, he could have made a game-turning play.
J.K. Scott, number 2 nationally in punt averages. That is muffed. Ball is out and loose. Balls fall on it, but Scott boomed that one. 59 yards. He's number 1 in the SEC in punting, and Sutton struggled to corral it.
Because he is as impressive a freshman punter that's come into college football. I can't remember.
Listen, I mean, I follow this stuff inside and out, as you know. If you're putting an All-America team together right now, J.K. Scott is a no-brainer All-America punter as a freshman. He is as reliable and talented as there is.
And you're talking about the second best in college football in net punting. That's the most important. Yes, he can boom them, but that hang time and allowing his guys to get down the field, such a difference maker. All the freshmen on Tennessee, that is a true freshman in Scott that's played a huge role for their special teams game.
He's only allowed 4 punts to be returned all season long. Dobbs again. And that'll bring to an end the first quarter that saw Bama looking as good as they did a week ago, especially Cooper and Sims. 20-point margin for the Tide.
ESPN is your home of the new college football playoff.
Amari Cooper is a big reason why that bottom line looks the way it did. Brock, what were people saying about Alabama struggling on the road? At Ole Miss, at Arkansas, you see the total yards and points. And then look at tonight just in the first quarter.
How many times have I texted you when we've seen many of our colleagues say, oh, here's my Final Four, my last 2 in, and it does not include Alabama. And you and I have seen this team now 3 times. It's as complete a team as there is in college football. And if they can do this on the road and get consistent quarterback play from Blake on the road like he's played in Alabama, in Tuscaloosa, they're going to be right there when it matters the most.
Talking about a 1 loss. Keep in mind the loss is at Ole Miss, a national title contending team themselves, with a game that had about 7 things that went against them in the last 6 minutes, including a fumble on a kickoff return. Just about 3 yards there. Shannon, what you got?
Joe, you know, Justin Worley, he worked on leadership skills in the offseason. While he's not on the field here tonight, he's certainly using those skills on the sideline with Peterman and with Dobbs. I've seen him with them several times, just encouraging them, trying to keep their spirits up, because certainly this Alabama defense and going against it, it's certainly a task for these inexperienced quarterbacks.
That's nice to hear, Shannon, the leadership of Justin Worley. You know, Archie Manning called Butch Jones this summer to tell him how impressed he was when Worley was down at the Manning Passing Academy. Here's Dobbs as he shakes free, and this is what Josh Dobbs can do. That's a great athletic effort from Dobbs.
And a really good call on 3rd and 5. You've seen a lot of pressure, right? A lot of those stunts from the Crimson Tide. And this time, Alabama runs one little stunt. You've got a designed quarterback draw there, and through the tackle of Trey DePriest, which you do not see or say very often. And Dobbs gets a really critical 3rd down conversion for Tennessee.
30-yard run by Dobbs. His first action of the year. And there's some around here thinking perhaps redshirting him.
Offense, 63, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Some around here saying that perhaps they're going to redshirt him and try to not have the overlap with Worley. Remember, he was thrown into the action, became just the 8th true freshman to start at quarterback in Tennessee history last year, started the final 4 games of 2013. And now have to have him in here with Worley out. Jalen Hurd had a cut back with all that pursuit. And Jonathan Allen got to him.
Yeah, you can't do that. You just can't go lateral against this group. And once again, you see the level of pursuit from Alabama. Looked like last week's game tape. Not 1, not 2, but multiple players on that front. And the big reason for that is their ability to exchange, to get lots of bodies in on that defensive line. Kirby Smart telling us very clearly that this may not be top end, the very best they've had, but this is the deepest defensive line group he's coached in Tuscaloosa.
Dobbs trying to keep it alive. Ball came out and right into the hands of Eddie Jackson. Big hit from Reggie Ragland, and that thing went flying. Flag is down at the end there. Reggie Ragland, the coaches have raved about what he's been doing. He came in and just leveled Dobbs and sent that ball flying, and Eddie Jackson scooped it.
That's 250 pounds of violence.
It's a good way to describe it, because that's how he plays.
Ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by Alabama. After the play, dead ball personal foul, number 90 of Alabama, 15 yards from the end of the run, 1st and 10.
That's Jaron Reed with the penalties on.
I'll tell you what, to put that game tape on week 1 versus West Virginia, and yes, DePriest was out next to him, and it was Reuben Foster, and there was a lot of confusion. And to put the game tape to the last 3 or 4 weeks on, you can't do it better than that. You putting your head right on the football right there. And this is part of the problem of not playing all season if you're Josh Dobbs. Many times you can start to work these kinks out early in the season. He has not felt anything like that in the scout team work.
Remember what Nick Saban told us last night? I want us to be dangerous and to just cut it loose. That's an example of it right there with that play by Ragland.
I can point to Anderson, Ragland, Cyrus Jones through 7 weeks of this season. How much better they're playing right now than when this season began.
Sims. He was looking for Cooper on a flag, but it was thrown to the outside. Randolph had coverage. Yeldon in the backfield with Sims. As he muscles his way inside the 30. Let's find out about that South Carolina game with Chris Cotter.
All right, Tess, time for a Taco Bell studio update. Butch Davis is here with me as well, and Coach Dylan Thompson's second touchdown pass of the night.
Absolutely. Just a little bit of a stutter double move by the slot receiver. Outstanding throw over the outside shoulder. Only he can make a play on it.
All tied 14 right now on the SEC Network, Joe.
Battle of the visors down there. Malzahn and Spurrier. 3rd and 4. Good pull by Blake Sims inside the 10. And he just bumper cars his way right into the end zone. A.J. Johnson missed on it. 24-yard touchdown run by Blake Sims.
And you can see the looks on so many of these fans says it all. And you better give a tip of the cap to Lane Kiffin. That's a really good call on 3rd and 4. It was a tremendous call to begin this game, to get into formation and sneak Amari Cooper underneath the line of scrimmage for the big play. And that's the element that Blake does bring you. He doesn't have to do it a ton. In fact, it's maybe even better when they pull it out when they want to do it. But what a tremendous call. Excellent execution. And this is all Alabama right now.
This is a beauty pageant night for the College Football Selection Committee as they get ready to put forth their first rankings. When they say defense like this, Ragland and Jackson had the recovery. And then they see offense like this, all time, all night. Some good action that you can take deep into the night on ESPN tonight, 10:45, Pac-12, number 14, Arizona State. Folks, they're 5-1. They've been playing good ball up there in Seattle to take on your alma mater, Brock, Washington. I'm looking forward to getting back to the hotel and taking in more college football.
Well, I can promise you one thing. It won't be as spectacular a weather night as we're having here in Knoxville. It's going to be cold, going to be rainy, going to be dreary. I don't know if we'll see the offensive execution that we've seen from that man you just saw, Blake Sims, who has been on point here early.
Last week they were nearly flawless in the shutout win against A&M. So far it looks much the same here in Knoxville. Evan Berry taken down at the 16-yard line. Chris, what's up?
All right, Joe, let's start over on ABC. Ohio State at Penn State. Ezekiel Elliott power this one over from 1 yard out. Drags a couple of defenders to the pylon. 7-0 Buckeyes in that one. Meanwhile, the SEC Network, we showed you South Carolina's score. How about Auburn coming right back? Cameron Artis-Payne delivering the pain. 14-14 right now in the loveliest village on the plains, guys.
Brock, what did Tim Tebow say on SEC Nation this morning about South Carolina in a spot like that, and Steve Spurrier?
Most dangerous when no one's talking about him. And just when you count him out, able to put a plan together.
And as Josh Dobbs is thrown back by DJ Petway.
There's no deeper defensive line in college football. I think I can say that definitively. Some other groups that are really, really good, and especially in this conference, and Ole Miss would probably be number 2. And they may be even faster and more electric in spots, but when you're talking about a defensive line room 8 deep and the level they're playing at right now, there's nobody better.
Here's Hurd now. And he kept his balance and then shows a little power at the end against Eddie Jackson. 6'3", 227. Big, tall, athletic tailback, Jalen Hurd.
But also fast.
He is. They hooked that GPS system up to him, and they said top end speed, best on the team. They tracked him GPS.
So many of these programs, and especially all of them in this conference, have that kind of technology, and they measure distance and speed and how much energy these guys all expend. And yes, in training camp, no one faster on this roster than Hurd.
3rd and 1 as he tries to lean forward. And Nick Perry shot in from that safety position and wrapped him up. And they need all that 6'3" with that lean to try to get that mark. As a first down for Tennessee.
And one element we've not talked about tonight, and it's maybe as remarkable a feat as anything you're going to see on this field, is the right tackle right now for Tennessee. You want to talk about an offensive line that's trying to gut it out right now. Jacob Gillen, 65, right tackle, playing on 1 ACL.
Incredible to think about. There he is, number 65, trying to get out and help, as that's a tackle for loss. But Jacob Gillen, the senior, he tore his ACL in week 1. You know, many thought he'd be out for the year, but he chose not to have surgery. And here he is, torn ACL, playing with a brace on. Local kid, was a walk-on, who earned himself a scholarship, and he's trying to help any way he can out there with this offensive line that has 3 guys in new places. As Jalen Hurd is lined up for the direct snap here on 2nd and 15. And Ashawn Robinson limited that effort.
So when you're talking about the best defense or the deepest defensive line in college football, going against a group that's without 2 starters tonight. Marcus Jackson, left guard. They were hoping to get him. He's out. Coleman Thomas, their true freshman right tackle, who started the last 5 games. He's out. So thus Gillum is in. You've got 3 new pieces. You're trying to sort all of this out in the midst of one of the most brutal schedules. 3 top 5 opponents. Now, this is hard, humbling times right now for Butch Jones in his rebuild.
So they haven't converted 3rd and long. Here's 3rd and 13 now. Dobbs gets it complete to Pig Howard. Dobbs was hit as he threw, and Pig Howard with that quick burst 28 yards ahead to midfield.
That's a big time guts and throw right there from Dobbs. He knows he's going to get whacked on that play. The pressure coming right in his face, and that can be the most difficult to stand strong and especially deliver over the middle of the field. But there you see some of the size in the arm and the talent of Dobbs at 6'3", 210. Willing to take a little bit of that violence and pain.
Marlon Lane, one move to the inside. Turn it on, Marlon. Stiff arming his way inside the 10. Heck of a run by Marlon Lane.
And heck of a response here, too, to try to get this fan base going again.
Got a little support, a little help from Marquez North, the receiver. Seems like all those big runs the receivers chip in, don't they? And now some tempo as he tried to get it out quick. And Howard was down even if he caught it there. We'll mark that at the 6-yard line. That's a catch. You see his hands between the ball and the ground, but obviously down right away.
Better off there going down like a catcher, and you know, if you can't get it, let it go.
2nd and goal. Dobbs just swallowed up Robinson again. He's so disruptive. 6'4", 320-pound freak in the middle for Alabama. He's fast enough to line up anywhere.
And I think coming back into health and conditioning, battled a knee through training camp, missed a lot of time. And he now is just getting his legs underneath him. Reed has really become a force next to him. And there you see some of the challenges in the red zone to find sevens.
3rd and goal. Pressure right up that A-gap. Back shoulder, money. Josh Malone. Well, that had to feel good for that guy, Josh Dobbs. Hadn't played before tonight. And now a touchdown pass against mighty Bama.
And knew there'd be one-on-one opportunities, and give a little tip of the cap to Jalen Hurd there, the running back as well, coming into protection and giving Dobbs the opportunity to finally win one of those one-on-ones on the perimeter.
As Josh Dobbs sparks him there. And Malone did a nice job. Tennessee's on the board here at home.
ESPN College Football Primetime is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. And Fairfield Inn and Suites. Stay amazing.
Lane Kiffin obviously getting a lot of attention this week with his return here. Departed in January 2010 after 1 year as head coach of the Vols. His mom said she feared for his safety this week coming back to Knoxville. I think they should be fearing for the Tennessee defense a little bit, although their offense just helping them as they were dug into a 27-zip hole before Josh Dobbs connected with Josh Malone on a nice looking drive that had a little bit of everything. As Dobbs is getting playing time tonight after not taking a snap. That man helping him out right there, Justin Worley, has been the capable starter, but he's injured and out of action. As it's a short kickoff that Landon Collins will field. And it gives us a chance to check in with Chris Cotter again.
All right, Joe, Brock, I'm having a hard time keeping up with this game on the SEC Network. South Carolina coming right back. Dylan Thompson, 197 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air in the first half. They took a 21-14 lead, but Nick Marshall has just driven Auburn right back. Here he comes, keeping it himself. With patience, using his blockers downfield. He's going to take it to pay dirt. 21-21 over on the SEC Network. Meanwhile, on ESPN, Ole Miss and LSU in a defensive struggle, as you might expect at Death Valley. 7-3, Rebels on top.
Some good action elsewhere in the conference. Here's Sims, looked one way and then comes back the other way as he threw it to the outside of White. Shannon.
Joe, after that touchdown, Josh Dobbs came over to the sideline. He got some congratulations from his teammates, and then he walked over to A.J. Johnson. He said something to him. You see it right there. I couldn't hear what he said, but you got to probably think it was something like, "It's your turn now." How about that from the young quarterback?
Yeah, I like that kind of attitude, Shannon. Josh Dobbs probably saying, "Give me that ball back." His All-America linebacker as they look for a stop here. And tough to find that against Bama. As here's Cooper, one cutback, and he gets a little extra. About 9.5 yards that time.
He's just so versatile, and Lane really does a nice job, and as this season has evolved, to move him at X and Z and that time in the slot. And as much as Tennessee and every opponent wants to identify where he is and try to take him away through personnel groups, through formation, Lane's plan, I think, has really evolved this season, and awfully hard, and now even in the backfield, to find the target and try to control him.
And they go to Jalston Fowler, the senior fullback, tore his ACL in 2012. Real unsung hero type for this Bama offense.
And I believe his first carry of the season, he has 5 receptions, couple touchdowns. He actually has 7 touchdowns in his career, but he doesn't get to do that much. But once again, I love it. You've got Cooper in the backfield behind him. You've got some eyes pointing his way. You've got a defense that's concentrating on him, and we'll sneak a guy in and give him his first rushing attempt of the season to move the chains.
Now back to basics for the Bama offense. T.J. Yeldon. And a direct snap as they go to Cooper. And Cooper's going the wrong direction. And everybody was able to get to him that time. As they ran the jet sweep and a loss of 9.
And there you see some of that same pursuit that we sure have been heaping praise on the other side. And this is a defense in John Jancic that just has not seen this kind of onslaught early. They've been worn down this season. They've been on the field much too often in the second half. I have a sense, as good a coordinator as Jancic is, that he's going to try to find a plan here, and getting a stop, getting the ball back to Dobbs here before half, a big part of trying to turn this game around.
2nd and 19. As that defense is fired up there with Barnett coming in and getting Yeldon. And this place is going to roar now for a 3rd and long. Their offense came down the field, and then you saw Dobbs asking that defense to do their job. Let's see if they can do it here on 3rd and 21. Here's a screen to Yeldon, and he dropped it. So with just over 4 minutes remaining before half, they will get that Tennessee offense the ball back.
This is going to get some yards, and John Jancic very clear yesterday that anytime 3rd and 10 plus, Alabama's got a pretty good tendency of getting to that screen game. That had a real good shot of getting a lot of yardage, and instead J.K. Scott, the freshman, pressed back into action.
Cameron Sutton all the way back near his 23. Fair catch around the 30. 3:53 to go in the half. Tennessee offense on the field. We return. See if they can keep it up after that last drive. So many greats have been a part of the 3rd Saturday in October rivalry. Frank Thomas and the Bear, and Nick Saban 7-0 against Tennessee. But the General, you know what the General was against the Bear?
Oh, he never lost.
Never lost to the Bear. As Tennessee head coach Johnny Majors and Phil Fulmer was 10-5-1 against Alabama. Of course, for so many years, 3rd Saturday in October rivalry. We'll play it any day we can nowadays, since the divisional split of the SEC often played beyond that traditional marker on the calendar. Dobbs downfield. Oh, he had his man Pig Howard streaking. Boy, he really rode that well and then sprinted out.
One concern you have with a kid that's got no live reps past the halfway point of this season is just that clock, that timing. I'll tell you, he has shown some really good patience. That was just a touch pass. He put a little too much velocity as he was still moving. But Josh's poise and patience in this pocket for having not played all seasons, pretty good.
As he goes up the middle and spins out to the 39-yard line. You know, Butch Jones said something about him. You know, he's a high IQ kid, Josh Dobbs. Aeronautical engineer major, wants to design and build airplanes. He said he's so smart, you only have to tell him something once. So he can be thrown into a spot like this, and you can see him grow even as this quarter goes on. 3rd and 2. And he's going to move the chains. As this crowd is really supporting and enjoying the effort from Joshua Dobbs.
Well, this is the one element that Justin does not bring. Worley's brought a lot of experience and been a very tough kid, absorbing so much contact and sacks. But even offensive coordinator Mike Jakian said to us yesterday, there is going to be some opportunity to have some run game that we've not had in the past. That a run game that struggled throughout the early part of this season is now going to get the added element of a quarterback, especially in Dobbs, that can move the chains as he just did.
Robinson on the tackle of Hurts. Check in with Chris Cotter again.
All right, Joe, Brock coming up on the Outback halftime report. Robert Smith and Coach Butch Davis will join me. Obviously, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, big road test today. Mississippi State this afternoon. We'll show you highlights of that one and get you caught up on what's happening at Death Valley with Ole Miss and LSU. Got Auburn and South Carolina in a good one on the loveliest village on the plains. Plus TCU. Wait till you see what they did this afternoon.
Flag comes in as Marquez North was matched up by Cyrus Jones.
Pass interference, defense number 5, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So one of the challenges you have seen from Alabama at times this year is communication, especially with tempo teams. And you can see Cyrus Jones there. He's trying to yell at Landon Collins of exactly what the coverage was going to be. He eventually gets the call, but his eyes are in looking for that signal. And in doing so, some of these perimeter talented skill players have an opportunity to get on top of you, and that's exactly what happened to Jones.
And what an opportunity for Tennessee right now. It wasn't long ago in this first half that this almost looked hopeless as Alabama was having it their way, and then that steady, consistent, balanced drive. Defense did their job. And now Tennessee and Mike Bajakian, the offensive coordinator, on the move again here.
He's really had 3 one-on-ones, and they've missed all of them. That one, they at least get the 15-yard penalty, but there have been opportunities outside.
And there was an opportunity but he couldn't connect with Ethan Wolf. Little tight end release, got in that pocket, but incomplete.
Same play earlier. Same play on the first drive the Dobbs came into the game. You're just trying to get those linebackers' eyes to be influenced by the run fake, and you can see DePriest, but they do that drill all the time with the receiver. It's a distraction drill. That should not have distracted Wolf. Got to find a way to bring that one in.
So now a 3rd and 10 for Dobbs. Somehow that was caught. An amazing effort from North. Marquez North, who was shielded and was able to snag that ball. And Tennessee's right over it as Alabama's running players on and off the field. And then that offensive line that's been pieced together and patchwork for the Vols does that.
Prior to the snap, false start, 53, 5-yard penalty, first down.
How in the world was that 3rd down completed?
It was amazing. On first look, you shake your head. It goes right through the hands of Jarek Williams. And North was shielded, wasn't distracted, and stayed with it. Wow. 1st and 15 now after the penalty. Design quarterback run blocked very well inside the 15.
It sure was. You see a couple of the Tennessee Volunteers linemen, and you can feel this line gaining a little bit of confidence with their quarterback behind them. Just get out in front of him, and a lot of conviction in that run. I'll tell you what, you go back to that near interception from Williams, that has been a sticky point for this Alabama defense. The inability to create takeaways, only 9 on the season, way off pace from what they've done in years past.
Jalen Hurd as he pushed his way towards that 10-yard line. He's going to be about maybe a half-yard short.
How about the energy?
Clock is counting down. 3 timeouts remain for Tennessee. And they will use their first timeout. Can they punch it in against Bama here? Stay with us. Joe Tessitore, Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake with you here in Knoxville. It's been a nice bounce back here by Tennessee, but can they capitalize? As A.J. Johnson, the All-America linebacker, is now in playing offense on 3rd down and 1. Look at big number 45. Remember, he did this a couple years ago. In fact, had a touchdown run against Alabama in 2012. He's going to take the direct snap here. Can the linebacker convert? They got to push that pile, and it's not happening. So now coming up on a half-minute remaining. 2 timeouts remain for Butch Jones. And a 4th and 1. And Butch is talking things over as to when he wants that timeout called. And he's going to leave nothing on the clock.
No, but he's
just
not,
put points on the board.
He's not going to go for it either here.
Nope.
I don't know about that, Joe.
And you can see what the crowd thinks about it, too.
You know how many times you're going to get these opportunities. Now, there's 2 sides to this, and the obvious is get some points going into halftime, pay off what's been a really good drive. But this is one we're going to have to talk about on the other side.
Well, Tennessee moments ago, 3rd and 1, and they send in their linebacker, A.J. Johnson, for his first carry of the season. He comes up short, and then they let the last half-minute run down before using a timeout instead of going for it on 4th and 1 and trying to get 7 and dig out of this hole. They're going to put some points on the board here with Aaron Medley, the talented true freshman place kicker. 10 of 13 on the season. As this is a 27-yard attempt. See if Tennessee can cut further into that Alabama wide margin they opened up the game with. Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban's offense started off on fire. Tennessee found a way with Josh Dobbs. In that second quarter, Tennessee had 159 total yards to Alabama's 55 after it was all Bama early. Bama will receive the second half kickoff. Let's go down to the field to Shannon.
Coach, what has Josh Dobbs brought to this first half?
Well, he brings another element. Now we got to take care of the football, but he's a dual threat. He's managing the offense right now. We're making some plays. We just need to settle down defensively. Everything started to happen fast. We made some uncharacteristic mistakes, but we'll get that corrected.
Thank you, Coach. And Joe, he did tell me Dobbs will start in the second half.
No doubt about it. Keep that momentum going for Tennessee with Josh Dobbs at quarterback. Can they continue the comeback against mighty Bama? Let's go to the guys with the Outback Steakhouse halftime report. As we welcome you back to ESPN College Football Primetime, you're watching the SEC on ESPN. It's number 4 Alabama with a 27-10 lead over Tennessee. They were up 27-zip, Brock, and then Tennessee came back in the second quarter. Right before the half there, about half a minute to go, Tennessee had the 2 timeouts. It was 3rd and 1, then it was 4th and 1. They let it run down, used the timeout, kicked the field goal. What'd you make of that decision?
You and I both didn't like that decision. We both squirmed in our seats there. Hard to possess the ball. Yes, they had 2 good possessions in it, but here's the deal. Butch made the decision. It's what he wanted. He wanted to feel good going into halftime, but you have to pay it off now. You will kick the ball to Alabama, and you can make that decision look better by getting a 3 and out and getting the ball back.
His defense did get a stop to put them in position for that field goal drive there, but let's go back and show you some of the first half there, because it was such a difference between first quarter and second quarter, and the arrival of Lane Kiffin, vilified here in Knoxville as they were booing their former head coach, now offensive coordinator. And his offense, after he would give a signal to the crowd, went out in the first quarter, had 253 yards of total offense at Bama.
You know Lane Kiffin liked that. He did. As a competitor, you have to love that. Coming into this environment and putting on a show early, that script paid off. Amari Cooper, 185 yards, both of those touchdowns in the first quarter. And it really was a tale of 2 quarters. Alabama could not have played better in that first quarter. Complete dominance. And Tennessee, with Josh Dobbs, showing a little bit of life, possessing the ball on a couple drives, scoring some points. You realize that was their first touchdown in SEC play for quite some time. No touchdowns versus Florida or Ole Miss, and doing a lot of it on the ground tonight, which may be the biggest surprise.
And those were 2 sustained drives.
That's
in
right.
the second quarter by Tennessee, and that's something that Josh Dobbs gave them here, a little versatility, a balanced attack. We saw the run game, we saw a couple completed passes, and we saw a quarterback, a young quarterback who wanted it, who went out there and demanded it of that man, A.J. Johnson, his All-America linebacker. Give us the ball back. Let us do something. And let's see if they can do that again and put the ball into Josh Dobbs' hands here. Try to continue this comeback against number 4 Alabama. Landon Collins and Cyrus Jones back to receive Aaron Medley's kick. And this will be Cyrus Jones from the 6. And Jones out to about the 23. Shannon, what did you find out?
Well, Joe, Nick Saban said we relaxed. He shrugged his shoulders and he said, we lost momentum. We let him back in the game. We didn't make the plays we needed to make. He said that certainly he'll be looking at that in the second half. He also told me that Josh Dobbs brings another element with his ability to run. They'll certainly have to contain that. Remember, a few weeks ago, Nick Saban told me adversity tolerance is the key. Now, I know 17 points is not exactly adversity, but it'll be interesting to see how this Alabama team responds.
Shannon and I laughed when he told that. We were sitting with him and I said, Coach, we're putting another phrase in that Saban glossary. There it is, adversity tolerance. Play action. Sims, downfield, complete, DeAndrew White.
You see what they did to come out to start the second half? The exact same formation they started the game. They're in a 2-by-2 set because they know Tennessee's tendency is not to pressure it. A little quick play action. You get Blake on the move just enough. It wasn't a home run, but it was a very similar concept to start the game and start the second half.
We go 2-by-2 again here, a little more outside the numbers, and that opened up a lot of space for T.J. Yeldon as he gets his way to midfield, a gain of 9.
I have a hunch we're going to see a little more of T.J. than we did in that first half. 8 carries in the first half. It was really the damage done through the air as you see a Crimson Tide player down.
Yeah, that Crimson Tide player is one of the best freshmen in America, Cam Robinson. He's the starting left tackle.
He's their best offensive lineman. Most talented, I should say. Kelly may be the most important in some of his communication, but this guy is right in line next to him, and he has played so very well, as you said, as a freshman coming into this conference.
You can see his right leg is rolled up on there as he was pinned down with Tennessee defensive lineman underneath him. He's pointing towards his ankle. And Cam Robinson, the freshman from Louisiana, who Saban described as the most game-ready prize recruit this past spring and through the summer. Impressed everybody in spring. Locked down the starting job.
Reminds you in many ways of Laramie Tunsil and what he did.
Very similar in terms of where he was in the recruiting rankings and what he was then able to instantly do in the SEC, the starting left tackle that you referenced from Ole Miss. Cam Robinson, the first true freshman left tackle to start the year that Nick Saban has ever had.
You could see the athletic trainer there. I think Saban Nick, he's going to be out. That's a lower leg injury, and that's worth monitoring here. You just finally get Ryan Kelly back, some of that stability in your offensive line, been out the last couple games with a knee injury, and now some movement on that offensive line, some new pieces having to be juggled, and Tennessee says, we don't feel sorry for you. That's exactly what we've had to do all season long.
Move Leon Brown, who usually plays guard, over to left tackle here. 2nd and 1. Quick screen, White. One move and lost a yard. Now that pass was thrown behind him, and his body momentum took him in the wrong direction because of it.
That's an excellent point. That's a negative. That's a minus play on your grade sheet, unfortunately. You put that on your front shoulder, you've got a first down. Instead, he puts it on the back shoulder, allows Justin Coleman the opportunity to close the ground, to make the tackle, and to get this oh-so-popular third down song going once again.
3rd and 2. All year long, Tennessee has been so good on 3rd down. And Hal Nealon has been so loud on 3rd down. T.J. Yeldon, direct snap, lost yardage, and may have lost a shoe. Somebody did.
Look at the arms. Look at the arms in the air. That play is totally bungled, and Lane knows it. Remember that communication we talked about in the ease with which Alabama was communicating in the first quarter? That thing awful from the very beginning. Misaligned. Jones is coming in motion. He stops. And what a stop. You want to talk about paying off a decision at the end of the half. It was imperative that Tennessee forces this punt. And miscommunication, a big culprit there on 3rd down.
J.K. Scott on to punt. Not often you see a return against a J.K. Scott punt. So as you said, hey, would have liked to seen them be more aggressive before the half there. But if they can get the stop, you can get the payoff. Well, now let's see if Tennessee will get the payoff. Landon Collins is waving for some help. He was in on kick coverage, the All-America safety. He's so valuable to this defense, Collins.
You're talking about arguably 2 of the most talented football players that you've seen go down, and that's a good sign. He is at least walking off what looks like a cramping situation with a player walking in that nature. But Cam Robinson down, Landon, your most talented defensive player, hobbling off the field.
Josh Dobbs keep it up as Cam has taken off the shoulder pads. Starting left tackle for Alabama out. Here's Dobbs. And he goes with the screen to Pig Howard. It doesn't take much for Pig Howard to move up the field. 7 quick yards there.
See the difference in ball placement, though, and that's a tough sign there as Landon is going off the field. More movement defensively, but there's the difference. 2nd and 1's a conversion. Alabama still has the ball if Blake puts it on the front shoulder. Nice pitch and catch there and good productivity on 1st down.
2nd and 3. Jalen Hurd. And squared up against Trey DePriest. Right at the sticks there. You see the ball placed down on that unofficial yellow line signifying a 1st down.
I had referenced the struggles against Florida and Ole Miss. No touchdowns in those 2 SEC contests. You also had 28 total net yards in those games. A big fat 0 against the Rebels. You now have over 140. A lot of it thankful to the quarterback and his dual threat nature. The run game now up over 140 against an Alabama defense. It's given up just 63 per game on the season.
And a timeout is used here as Tennessee exhausts their 1st of this 2nd half. We'll take a short break and be right back to Rocky Top.
Alabama will play the rest of this game without their freshman lineman Cam Robinson. It's a right ankle. I saw him over on the bench. He has his jersey off. He is on crutches and made his way down to the sideline bench down here with his guys. Also, Landon Collins was taken to the locker room. He is being evaluated, but the team believes he will return, Joe.
2 of the most talented players for the Tide. It was such a stick that time by Reggie Ragland. He's been doing that consistently.
I know there's some really good linebackers in this conference, but what this kid has done this season time and again with sticks just like that, you can't form tackle better than that. And even knock the sticker off your helmet.
Got that number 19 coming right off that helmet. 2nd and 11. As they give to Hurd, and Reed and Robinson find him.
It's a good conversation with Coach Saban last night, just talking about the DNA of this team and some of its identity and how it has taken shape. And he pointed to the Hightowers of before and some of the real alpha males that he's had, Ronaldo McClain. This kid's becoming one. I mean, he is really growing in his presence. And Rolando is such a difference maker with Hightower. And when you're physical guys, your violent players can really step their game up. Man, does it impact your defense.
3rd and 7. Dobbs sprinting to the top of your screen. Puts up a duck that is caught. They are saying that's a reception as Marquez North was able to handle that. Jonathan Allen had pressure on Dobbs. Dobbs put it downfield, and somehow, some way, good for 22 yards. Allen gets to Hurd after a gain of 3. I'll tell you, Josh Dobbs is just a gamer. This kid hasn't taken a snap before tonight all year long. Nathan Peterman started tonight as Justin Worley was unable to go with the injury. And I think there's probably some Tennessee fans shaking their head and saying, should have just gone with Dobbs right from the start. Pulled it, has the option to throw it, instead tucks it. And then is run down by Jarek Williams. They've run that form of the option play a few times tonight. Hoping to get that defensive back to come up and play the run and see that receiver release. But that never happened that time.
It was good discipline by Eddie Jackson.
3rd and 3. Here's the slant. Well done, Ethan Wolf. 1st down, Tennessee.
How about these 3rd down conversions from Dobbs? It wasn't pretty on the previous 3rd down, but keep the ball in play, give your guy an opportunity to make a play for you. And that time throwing a dart. Finally, the 3rd time they've tried 3 different occasions to connect with Wolf, and that time the freshman tight end able to bring it down.
This time he gives to Pearson. That never had a chance, as Nick Perry is quick to blow it up.
Feels like a shot play, doesn't an opportunity possibly to the bottom of your screen.
Good spot on the field to do it too, Brock. And there it was over the middle as he was looking for Malone.
And you can see Jarek Williams right there putting his hands up. A couple different occasions now, these tied defenders having a chance to get that critical takeaway. And they get the one early on the fumble caused by Ragland, but outside of that, a few chances have gone through the fingertips of these Crimson Tide secondary members.
3rd and 8. Trying to set up the screen. Now he's got to do it on his own. Oh, what a fake that was by Dobbs. He pumped, Dixon bit, and Dobbs went right by him. 15-yard run and a first down for Tennessee.
Did you say gamer?
Totally a gamer. Look at that.
That's 3 third-down conversions, and give all of the credit in the world to the quarterback making his first appearance of the season.
Out of the backfield is Hurd. Inside the 10, inside the 5. This is going to be 1st and goal, Tennessee.
And look at these Tennessee players offensively helping one another. Pearson on the outside. That's one-on-one with Jarek Williams, really setting the table up there. And now 1st and goal for Tennessee.
This game was 27-0 Alabama early in the 2nd quarter. They were doing anything they wanted to offensively. It seemed hopeless for Tennessee. Miscommunication with the freshman Jalen Hurd. Dobbs looked one way for the handoff. Hurd wasn't there.
That was hopeless.
Indeed. Remember, Dobbs hadn't taken a snap before tonight. Look at the total yards in the 1st quarter for Bama. Look at since that point. A reversal. Second and goal now, backed up to the 9.
Got one-on-ones outside.
And it's going to be 3rd and goal. And Bama defense with Reed and Tomlinson crashing down on Dobbs.
And this area of the field has been a real challenge as things condense. It puts more pressure on that offensive line to protect. Those windows get smaller to throw into. As you see Landon Collins coming back on the field. Just 57% conversions and touchdowns this season. They settled for the field goal earlier before half. And another enormous play with the energy in this building ready to explode if they can find 6.
3rd and goal. Pearson. Touchdown, Tennessee. The comeback continues. Von Pearson. He wasn't even recruited out of high school. He was working at fast food restaurants. He was really at a dead end. Wasn't going anywhere in life back home in Virginia when a friend said, hey, why don't you come out to California with me, play a little JUCO football. Drove all the way cross country to play, and a second chance at life. And now a Tennessee Volunteer, capping a 15-play drive against mighty Alabama that has them right back in this game.
ESPN College Football Primetime is brought to you by Buick. 5 expectation-shattering models. Another reason to experience the new Buick. And Cialis.
There is Smokey 10, that great-looking blue-tick hound. On football weekends, he's cared for by members of Tennessee's Alpha Gamma Rho frat. 4 members take care of him. They groom him. They get that vest on. And then he comes out to big nights like this. Tennessee has roared back. 27-17, Alabama. After they jumped out 27-0. 12 minutes remaining before the half. And now this score here in the third. Cyrus Jones on the return for the Tide. Let's go to the studio and Chris Cotter.
Tess, you guys got a wild one there, and there is a wild one going on in Jordan Hare right now. Ricardo Lewis takes this one 75 yards. Look at the wheels. Gamecocks aren't going to catch him. That gave Auburn 35-28 lead. Back comes Dylan Thompson, his 5th touchdown pass of the night. This one to Nick Jones over on the SEC Network, tied at 35. Crazy one, guys.
How about these 3 primetime games in the SEC? The defensive battle with Ole Miss LSU, the back and forth South Carolina Auburn, and this comeback effort from Tennessee here. Sims, pressured, escapes, keeps his footing, and goes downfield incomplete. That was Derek Barnett pressuring Sims. Let's go back to that touchdown, though, moments ago with Tennessee.
And you saw Kirby Smart and Nick Saban getting all over Maurice Smith. They are in the game because Landon Collins is out. And once you get in that bunch formation, and that has been such a challenge at times for Alabama, about the only place you can get them, how Ole Miss got their big defining touchdown late. Get into a formation, force them to make their calls, make their checks, communicate. They don't do it. And Saban and Smart certainly let Maurice know about it.
Toss to T.J. Yeldon. And Yeldon forced out at about the 30-yard line by McNeil.
I really liked what Butch Jones said to us yesterday. He said it's on us to keep this crowd in the game. And they were out at 27-0. And boy, are they back now.
3rd and 4. Yeldon took care of business there on 3rd and 4.
What a great call. Once again, you've got to credit Lane Kiffin on these 3rd downs. It was the zone read earlier that Blake kept for the 24-yard touchdown run. It's the same play here. They don't overuse it. They don't overdo it. And it was, unfortunately, A.J. that could not bring Sims down on his touchdown run. And he can't slow down Yeldon on that pivotal 3rd down either.
He slipped that time, and he was cutting back. Felt like he had something there.
Well, if you're the best one-loss team in college football, you stand up to this adversity right now.
There's Cooper this time. They're able to gather him. Joel Mosley with the tackle.
This is what happens when you have 180-some yards in the first half. You can get a little cushion on 2nd and 10. But the most important thing, you make the tackle to once again at least put yourself in position to play to your greatest strength this season, and that has been your 3rd down defense, especially in this building.
Another 3rd down. Crowd was reacting to Sims in the backfield. Meanwhile, the chains are moving ahead. Yeldon stays in there. And you see some tempo now from the Alabama offense. Pressure up that A-gap. They pick it up. Downfield they go. Almost one-handed by Amari Cooper.
He had a real chance to make a SportsCenter top 10 play right there. Moving him around, and that's one that I bet you he's disappointed in himself that he'd find a way to make. He may have even been able to lay out for that ball to get both hands on it. He's trying to catch and run and put yet another touchdown on the board. But a good aggressive call there on first down.
2nd and 10. Derrick Henry hesitated for a moment and only gets about 1.5 yards. Owen Williams with the tackle there.
I feel like I've heard this song about 100 times already tonight.
Crowd can't hear enough of it. Third down and 9. Just on the south side of midfield for Alabama. Sims extending the play, tucking, running, trying. Where's the mark? And that looks like it's going to be a first down for the Tide. As Lane Kiffin buries his head right back in that call sheet, the former Tennessee head coach in his return here to Knoxville.
Every offensive coordinator is going to tell you that teams that convert really well on third down have quarterback play like you've seen on this drive. And watch the offensive coordinator take a look at his redshirt senior, giving it up right there.
I think Kiffin wants this in a town where they've had local political ads with candidates disparaging each other, comparing them to the former Tennessee coach. Now Henry twisting his way to the 40-yard line.
Well, what I think he has done here wisely is gotten back to some basics. Your left tackle is out. Get back to some of your favorable matchups, couple zone replays that have been positive. That third down, Blake does an excellent job of extending and really creating and making that on his own. But a drive here that's featured the ground game, that's settled down this audience a little bit and kept this Tennessee defense for the first time in some time on the field with a sustained drive.
Second and 7. Swinging it to Yeldon. And Yeldon trying to fight for extra against McNeil as they continue on this drive here. Remember, they're doing so with now Leon Brown playing left tackle. Cam Robinson, the super talented freshman, left the game injured. This is their 4th third down they're facing up this drive alone. An 11-play drive for Alabama. Let's see what Kiffin calls up this time. As they go empty on 3rd and 4. And he gets it complete to Cooper. So reliable is Amari Cooper.
Joe, this is a big-time drive for Blake Sims. On the road, a difficult environment. You heard Nick Saban tell our Shannon down on the sidelines coming into the second half that we kind of let this game get away from us. We relaxed and allowed Tennessee to gain momentum back in their building with 104,000, and it's 27-17, and your quarterbacks had to have 4 big third-down conversions, and so much of this drive, you better give credit to number 6.
Derrick Henry gets free. Here goes Henry. Right on in. Cam Sims gave him support with a block, and the big boy finishes with a 28-yard touchdown run.
I told you, get back to running the ball, says Nick Saban. I told you.
Sounds simple, doesn't it, Brock? That was a statement drive by Alabama when Tennessee had Uncle Mo. All that momentum. Looks like Jordan Williams is slow to get up after that touchdown run by Henry.
Jordan, like so many of these Volunteers, banged up, fighting through adversity and injury. We highlighted Gillum on the other side, playing on one ACL. Williams got a broken bone in his wrist. He's got the club on. He's playing with basically one hand in this matchup. Derrick Henry loves it. You know, those guys love getting fed. A sustained drive finally for Alabama, and Lane Kiffin with 4 enormous third down conversions. And he was feeling it on those sidelines.
4 third down conversions and kept a 13-play drive alive. Derrick Henry's 4th rushing touchdown of the year. Just when they needed it too. Tennessee was roaring back and gaining confidence play after play. And they doubled them up. 34-17. Here's one of those big third downs when Sims gave extra effort. Coach Kiffin loved that. And then it's always nice when you got big Derrick Henry. Reminder that your college football evening is not done anytime soon. You got Pac-12 action. Arizona State, number 14, had their way with Washington through recent meetings, going up against the Huskies up in Seattle tonight at 10:45 on ESPN.
It's a nice way of saying they've won 8 in a row.
It is. That would be a euphemism for they've won 8 in a row, Brock.
And you're looking at 8 in a row unless Tennessee does something they have not done much this season, and that's battle back in the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter's been the real challenge for the Volunteers, as beaten up as they are, the lack of depth they have, as many young people, and they've got to do something they've been unable to achieve, and that's really possess the ball and once again try to turn this momentum around.
There's a statement drive by Alabama moments ago, and what will be the statement made by the College Football Selection Committee when they put forth their first rankings this coming week, as we take a look at the rankings brought to you by Northwestern Mutual as we showcase the one-loss teams, Brock.
And this is where so much of the great debate initially is going to come. Mississippi State gets the win at Kentucky. Ole Miss in a real battle right now, but I think 1, 2, and 3 with Florida State as well idle this week. This will become the central conversation. And Oregon, tremendous offense last night, but an imbalanced football team. I'll tell you what, that was a championship caliber drive in this building that Alabama just put on display to make quite a statement as being the best one-loss team in America.
Jalen Hurd into that boundary side, trying to get to the edge, which is really tough to do, as Dylan Lee found him.
Their 4 quarters against A&M, the first quarter and a half of this game, I don't think there'd have been a whole lot of debate if that committee sits right now or right at that point, but it's a little different story here as Tennessee has made a game, has battled back, and has shown a tremendous amount of resolve.
Let's further that conversation a little bit when we get to the fourth quarter and see if Tennessee can respond.
ESPN is your home of the new college football playoff.
Joe Tessitore, Brock Hewart, Shannon Spake with you as you're watching the SEC on ESPN from high atop Rocky Top, magnificent Neyland Stadium. One of the grand rivalries in college football, always known as the third Saturday in October. Move the date, it doesn't matter. It's always something special with Bama and Tennessee. And as that ball was tipped, and Daniel Helm couldn't control it, freshman tight end.
And one of the first real pure misses there for Dobbs is trying to find a completion, and just maybe a little lack of focus and concentration here. An awfully big third down as they've turned some of this tide, no pun intended, with 3 consecutive scoring drives. This down was successful for them, but this is a big challenge now in a known passing situation. Alabama, you know, going to get after the passer.
Bring 4 against Hurd on 3rd and 9, and that was thrown behind Pearson.
Not the series you want after Alabama controlled the ball, got 4 of their own third down conversions. When they were facing some of that adversity, Alabama showed some of the veteran makeup that they have in a very young Tennessee team. You could feel some of the air out of this building with that drive. Cannot come back and respond accordingly.
Tried to scatter away from that Matt Dar punt. 14:42 remaining. Bama in control.
And Bristol.
What do you say we talk to Shannon Spake about what's going on with the NASCAR chase for the Sprint Cup? Shannon, are you aware that the NASCAR Sprint Cup heads to the first race in the eliminator round?
I am aware of that. And actually, Brock, I think you have a little information about Martinsville, don't you?
Well, it's the paperclip, right? Doesn't it look like a paperclip, the racetrack?
Exactly. And I know you told me that this weekend.
Oh,
so,
sure.
Yeah, very good. Great race. Jimmy Johnson out, but he could win this weekend. He's very good there.
That race at Martinsville presented by AutoZone Sunday at 1 on ESPN. Blake Sims downfield and gets it to White. 16-yard reception by DeAndrew White.
That's a pretty confident throw on first down as DeAndrew, like many of these Alabama players, coming off the sideline, a little bit nicked up. Good thing they've got a bye next week before they travel to Baton Rouge. That was a very confident throw. The deep over route, pretty tight coverage. And that's a throw that Blake Sims did not hit at Ole Miss or hit in Fayetteville. It just shows you what confidence you can build on a drive like they just sustained in the previous one.
Derrick Henry. Checking with Shannon again.
Yeah, we're having some injuries down here on the Alabama sideline. As you see, Vogler is not in the game right now. He actually, I've been told that is questionable for his return. He's favoring his right leg. He's walking around the sidelines. I also witnessed Amari Cooper walk into one of the tunnels. He was favoring his right side hip area, but they did say, as you can see, he's going to play, but he was favoring that right hip side.
Just as you say that, Tennessee dealing with a defensive lineman down. I believe that's Travaris Salisbury. And Tennessee's been dealing with injuries all week long. Headliner being Justin Worley, unable to go tonight. Their starting quarterback, but that offensive line as well. They've had to mix positions around. 3 guys in new spots. We'll take a short break. Salisbury taken off the field as the medical staff is helping get that brace off the knee. 2nd and 6 for Bama.
You have got an incredibly battered group on that defensive line. 2 players already in cast. Salisbury now coming off the field with a knee.
Derrick Henry planted and cut back for a gain of 2, tackled by Owen Williams.
Zone read was really good in this down and distance on the previous drive.
He didn't see the pressure coming at all as Kurt Magid brings down Blake Sims.
Probably no surprise when you talk about a defensive group of who's going to step up and going to make a play, and you can see Magid there. He just gets underneath Shepard before he can even lay a hand on him. Shepard, the senior there, unable to get even his body in front of Magid. I think Lane asking him, couldn't you feel some of that pressure coming right in your face?
There's that reverse rotation punt from J.K. Scott. And was able to get inside the 20. 7 calls for the fair catch. Tennessee is such a tough stretch, uphill battle. This schedule facing a top 5 ranked opponent for the 3rd time this year. It's one thing to play in the SEC and to have Bama as your permanent crossover. Then they also hit the road at Oklahoma back on September 13th. Trip to Ole Miss last week, facing a national title contender in that game. Spirited play of the sophomore quarterback Josh Dobbs has been one of the highlights for the Vols tonight. As Jalen Hurd tried to turn the corner, was run down by Ryan Anderson.
I think one of the challenges with that schedule is injuries can be fluky enough and are of all different variety, but when you're playing grown men like Ryan Anderson and Reggie Ragland and Trey DePriest and veteran guys and juniors and seniors, and you're playing that land shark defense at Ole Miss that is chock full of so many veteran defenders, just freshman on senior, freshman on junior, just physically absorbing so much of that contact over the last few weeks. Probably no surprise this team's as beat up as they are coming into tonight.
I like Dobbs' ability on a play like that. As he read it, saw the little opening, was able to be explosive throughout it and move the chains for a Tennessee first down. Dobbs downfield, overthrown and intercepted by Cyrus Jones. Cyrus Jones has been gaining more and more confidence as the year has gone on.
And that was a throw of desperation, unfortunately.
Sure
One of the
was.
real first forced mental errors there. Really good coverage, safety over the top. That had a no chance. And a couple takeaways now tonight. And if this team is going to be the elite defense that they envision that they can be, that is the one element. Came into tonight just 9 turnovers in 7 games for Alabama. The forced fumble earlier there. They finally are able to corral the interception.
See if Alabama can put this thing away when we return to Knoxville.
ESPN College Football Primetime is brought to you by Viagra and AutoZone. For the auto parts, accessories, and advice you need, get in the zone. AutoZone.
The band plays on here in Knoxville. A night when so much attention was paid towards Lane Kiffin's return. That offense of his that he calls plays for Alabama's put up 34 to Tennessee's 17. Now a chance to guide Bama to 7-1 is Blake Sims. He can close things out here. Some movement up front. A lot of finger pointing going on.
False start. 88 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
J.J. Howard, the tight end.
It'll be tough on those guys up front. You have to sit in that stance as you're doing all that check with me. You're trying to get to the ideal run play or the right shade in your check with me to run that ball too. But that line was in their 3-point stance for quite some time. And O.J. unfortunately with the false start.
Ball is loose. Tennessee's got it. Corey Vereen. It was a bad exchange between Sims and Henry.
And just when you're ready to start to write that script in a rivalry game, 34-17, Dobbs, a couple rough possessions, forces the interception. And Alabama jumps off sides, and Henry and Sims in their zone read game saying, I thought I gave it to you. I thought you were going to take it. And instead, well, now they brought a little life back into this stadium. A lot of the fans that vacated after that long possession from Alabama, but setting Tennessee up with some prime real estate.
Von Pearson. Let's check in with Chris in the studio.
Tess, let's get everybody caught up on what's happening in Baton Rouge. LSU taking the lead over Ole Miss. They hung around. Here we are in the fourth quarter. 10-7. Bayou Bengals on top after Logan Stokes scores. On the SEC Network, back and forth they go. Auburn currently up by 7.
A lot of folks thought could happen in the SEC West. Beat each other up. There's Dobbs again on a good read and a nice surge and a first down for Tennessee.
How about this run game from Tennessee tonight? 6th worst in college football coming in. Could not get a 100-yard average, just 2.6 yards a carry, and an Alabama defense that had been so good, number 2 in college football, has given up nearly 200 on the ground, and you better give a ton of credit to this quarterback for that.
Marlon Lane, only a yard there. Sean Robinson clogging up the middle.
Tennessee had a really nice wrinkle on their 3rd down in the red zone to score their touchdown earlier. They've gotten Alabama to miscommunicate, to not make the adjustment into their bunch coverage. Let's see if Mike Bajakian comes back here trying to mix some of those formations and groups.
Dobbs sprints to the near side and out in the flat. Tremendous effort to haul it in, but not for much. North extended himself.
May not see a prettier 2-yard catch on this Saturday. That's beautiful.
Third and 5, Tennessee 10-16 on 3rd downs tonight.
Once again, lots of communication on the back end of that Alabama defense.
He threw it behind on that slant there that was there all day long with North. Would have been a score.
And that's Cyrus Jones in press coverage. You don't see him in the picture because of the blitz look there from Alabama. One-on-one, and you know exactly what's going through Butch's mind, exactly what he stressed to us yesterday. We've got to make that play. In every one of these games, there's been a handful of plays, and we've got to get over that hump. And you can't have it any cleaner than that. And Dobbs here has found some bumps in the road in this 4th and most important period of play.
Aaron Medley, and he punches it through. And that makes it an even 2-touchdown margin with 9:42 to play. The great General Neyland said, you never know what a football player is made of until he plays Alabama. Boy, we know what Josh Dobbs is made of, don't we?
Grit, tough, perseverance, 27-0, and he was a big reason that Tennessee got back into this game with both his arm and his ability to run and just the energy that he's brought. Look at the back and forth with his teammates. He's over on the sidelines. He's hitting A.J. Johnson on the shoulder pads. That's the Richard Jr., Kyler Kerbyson coming over to him, and the encouragement, that back and forth conversation. And I don't think there's any debate. We'll see whether or not Worley can come back and play this season, but I don't think there's any debate about who this quarterback is going to be if Worley can't go the rest of the way.
This is going to be Cyrus Jones from the goal line. Let's go down to Shannon.
Well, Joe, some players need to learn leadership skills and others just have it. Josh Dobbs, he has it. I've watched him when he comes off the field, and before he goes to sit on the bench, he walks out and he encourages the players that are on the field. He comes over to the bench, and same is being done. He's talking to all these guys. Now, he has practiced with the team during the week, taking equal number of snaps, so you know that the chemistry is there, but the respect is there as well, 100%.
And Shannon, this is a young man that could have been on track to be redshirted this year. Played last year as a true freshman. Hadn't taken a snap before tonight. But with Worley out, gets his opportunity, and he's made the most of it. Now his defense Needs to get him the ball back. They fake the pitch, and Sims downfield gets it complete. That was really well executed to Cooper.
Trust your plan. Trust your plan and your preparation, and you've come out now on 3 different occasions in some different formations, but it's the same 2-by-2, and you know the Tennessee tendency this season is not to pressure.
And with that catch, Brock, Amari Cooper sets the Alabama record, single game record for receiving yards. Julio Jones had it at 221. Tonight, Amari Cooper, 224. The most receiving yards in the history of this great football program. Derrick Henry out to the 39. Nine catches, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. Start the game with an 80-yard touchdown.
We had talked early in the season before that FAU game, Southern Miss game. Alabama's never had a Biletnikoff award.
That's right. Well, it's either going to be Cooper or Kevin White from West Virginia this year, and I think Cooper is just sensational. Using every second on that play clock. Henry just a yard that time as A.J. Johnson met him.
And what I love the most about Cooper is he does everything. And to me, that's what elite wide receivers do. You need me in the slot on 3rd down? Got it. You need me on a go route? I can do that. You need me on the deep over, the comeback? I mean, there is no weakness in his game. He brings every dimension that you want. And a lot of toughness, too.
Came in representing 41% of their total targeted passes. He's been targeted 13 times tonight. Sims has thrown it 24. 3rd and 5. He got to the corner and got it.
And we can highlight the play on the other side. Dobbs misses a slant for a touchdown. But Butch Jones will write these plays down as once again you see another defender for Tennessee. That's Owen Williams. He's playing through a broken thumb. You can see the cast on his left hand as well. But it's that play. It's your defining play, your chance to get off the field there. And unfortunately, Blake Sims, he's made these in this 3rd and 4th quarter when the game is really on the line, when it matters the most. That's why he is so good on 3rd down. A QB rating only behind Dak Prescott in all of college football. And a big, big reason why Alabama is one of the 5 best 3rd down teams in college football.
Reminder that last year's national champs will be in action Thursday at 7:30 on ESPN. It's Florida State against Louisville. That's ESPN 7:30 on Thursday.
Florida State, by the way, and Jameis Winston, who were phenomenal in 3rd down situations against Notre Dame. It's amazing how many times that money down. And look at that matchup. Number 1 in the SEC, 3rd down defense right here in Tennessee. Number 1, 8th in the country. And tonight, Alabama 10 of 14. And I would give credit and put a star by number 6 on so many of those 3rd down conversions.
Owen Williams had thumb surgery back on October 6th. Just getting them up now. Let's check in with the studio and Chris Cotter. Chris?
Over on ESPN, Ole Miss down by 3, driving into LSU territory. You can see the clock winding down. LSU in disarray a little bit on defense, but they stop Bo Wallace on the keeper. Take another look. The line just converges on the Ole Miss quarterback. Ole Miss has the ball back now, just over a minute left to go, trying to drive the tying field goal, guys.
All right, Chris, so will they remain on the short list of unbeatens? Or will they be in this conversation of who's the best one-loss team? Of all the years that you got to debate that, here we are, the first year of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee.
Smart once again.
Under 7 minutes to play. Bama looking to bleed that clock. And come and stack up Derrick Henry with Jalen Reeves, Maven.
It's been a physical football game.
Sure has.
A game down in Baton Rouge, obviously maybe a little bit more physical because of the style of play of one less miles, but going to be some really sore, tired bodies coming out of this one, and no better time for the Crimson Tide before they go battle LSU to have their bye next week. Injury earlier to their phenom left tackle Cam Robinson. We've seen a number of players hobble on and off the field. Tennessee has been battered. Just what you'd expect in this rivalry matchup.
Second and 6. Sims. And it's incomplete. And the flag is down. As Justin Coleman had the coverage that time.
And he was early.
Pass interference. Defense number 37. Ball be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
It was 27, Coleman, who came in early against Andrew White. Get that shoulder in there right in the back before the ball arrived, Brock.
You have a right to the football, but you cannot put your body and go through that wide receiver. That's an easy call.
So that gives Bama a first down, and that gives them more opportunity to pound away with Derrick Henry.
And you know this offensive coordinator would love nothing more here in the final 5 minutes than to possess the ball and wear down a really beat-up Tennessee team that's given them a ton of fight tonight. It's been very easy at 27-0 to shut it down. They have not done that. Really just one sustained drive, that critical drive in the third quarter that Alabama put 7 on the board. The Tide would love to continue to chew on this play clock, continue to run the ball and move the chains. Love the communication there, Ryan Kelly, the center as well.
And a timeout called by Alabama. We'll take a short break with them. Joe, Brock, and Shannon here in Knoxville. 34-20. A game that looked like it was going to go so south on Tennessee so quickly, and then they rallied back with Josh Dobbs, a sophomore quarterback, before Alabama made a statement drive to give themselves a good margin. Blake Sims was red hot early on for Bama, with all his work targeting Amari Cooper. And now he's been grinding away here, taking down clock. 2nd and 3 with Derrick Henry as the lone back. And he's gonna boot this bad boy and pick it up. That was Derek Barnett, who was trying to find him in space, but hey, this is a former running back playing quarterback for Alabama.
And this element has really grown this season, and you saw it against Texas A&M with some defining plays. I would argue the best touchdown run of the season was his triple juke against A&M for 43 yards. It's been their longest run of the season, but his ability to extend plays, to sacrifice when he needs to on some third downs tonight, to run away from some pressure situations, that element has really grown in confidence for him this season.
Henry looked to the outside that time.
It's almost as if watching his evolution this season. It was as if I need to prove to everybody that I can be a pocket passer. I'm in some competition with Jacob Coker, and I need to show that I can execute to Amari Cooper and all the passing game and do everything that Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban want the quarterback to do, and that has done here in many ways at Alabama. And he had to prove that he could do that first, and then here's the added benefit. Here's the other component that he can bring, is just a tremendous playmaker with his athleticism.
Tennessee trainers are out on the field.
As busy as anybody tonight.
Now, it's been that way all week, they probably feel. It's Cameron Sutton, their outstanding corner. There's so many players limited or out of practice this week for Tennessee, and thus the changes we saw in their offensive line. Of course, most notably at quarterback. Alabama's offensive line took a hit tonight, losing Cam Robinson, the star freshman left tackle.
And I just love this. Such a valuable piece of their communication, the comfort zone that Blake has and Ryan Kelly, to know that he can set the formation, and that Ryan does a really good job communicating those run calls as right now, and pass protections as well.
Henry dragging a defender with him. That was Justin Coleman, who was on for a ride with Derrick Henry.
Ten of 14 for Alabama on this down. So much the difference. As that momentum swung, and they took it right back in that third quarter on this down.
Good shifty run that time. We will go under 3 minutes here. It was an incredible second half surge that Tennessee made. And then Bama had that statement drive. And they responded so well.
The poise, patience, the commitment to get back to some of that run game. And ultimately 11 of 15 on this down and distance. Some good calls by Lane Kiffin, and even better execution with his quarterback.
Whistles come in.
But Nick's not too happy here.
Hard to snap. Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
We have seen this a fair amount of times. He's not shy to communicate.
Clean this up.
Timeout, Tennessee. That is their second timeout of the half. Will be a 30-second timeout.
With that timeout, go to the studio, check in with Chris.
Tess Brock, after delay a game penalty, Hugh Freeze opting not to try a field goal, sends Bo Wallace back out there to go for it all in the final seconds in Baton Rouge, and it doesn't work out for him. LSU hangs on, beats Ole Miss 10-7. Speaking of hanging on, Auburn survived a Hail Mary from South Carolina. That didn't work. War Eagle wins.
Things always start to funnel their way towards something here, as Ole Miss ain't pretty no more, as they would say from Raging Bull. Undefeated, but you go down there to Baton Rouge and you struggle. College football playoff top 25 presented by Allstate will be at 7:30 on ESPN on Tuesday. You say scratch Ole Miss and enter Oregon.
And Auburn's going to want in that debate. TCU is maybe as hot as anybody. I mean, just going to be fascinating conversation. And Tuesday night, it's no longer about my picks or Joey Galloway's picks or Tom Luganbill's picks or Brian Griese's picks. It's about that 12-member committee putting their first rankings on the table.
How about Jalston Fowler? Fumbled the ball as he was going into the end zone. And Jalen Reeves-Maybin recovered it.
Look at Fowler. He's had 7 receiving touchdowns. He's not had many of those opportunities. Had a run earlier. He gets a second opportunity. And you know what, Franklin? That's a real credit to Tennessee.
And Cameron Sutton.
Yeah, it is. And Butch Jones hates losing. And this season's driving him crazy. And we saw him the other day, and he's exhausted. And he's never been through something like this with the team as beaten up as they are, playing as many freshmen as he is. No one playing more. 23 of them on the season. And he says, it's a bottom line business. But there is a process in this. And that just continued fight that this team has shown and really showed tonight has got to be at least an encouraging sign coming out.
There's Pearson. And that quick pass from Dobbs. And then Collins left for a moment, returned to action.
And then on the flip side, you absolutely know that Nick Saban's going to say, you got to finish better. Started so red hot and couldn't play a better first quarter, up 27-0, and then let Tennessee back in the game with their own mistakes. And then the opportunity to really finish it off in style, and you don't.
That was a nice effort to get it out to Pig Howard. What a good reception there. So I think Tennessee fans are going to walk away from this. I know it's a rivalry game against mighty Alabama, and they had high hopes, as they always do. But they can leave here knowing that Josh Dobbs did something tonight. And there's something to look forward to with him. As once again gets a completion, this time Marquez North. They have talent out on the perimeter, does Tennessee.
They sure do, and this element of the dual threat nature is really critical for this offensive line that is going to continue to be beat up really for the rest of this season. As many moving pieces as they have, and you've seen it slow down Alabama. 84 yards on the ground by Dobbs himself. And really after that onslaught early, of possession after possession after possession of forcing bunts, once Dobbs came into the game, his mix of run, his ability to beat them on those quarterback draws and on those scrambles, it's got this Alabama group up front here not doing much of this.
Jalen Hurd just avoided a big hit from Jarek Williams.
Let's just keep everything in front of you if you're Alabama here, and look at the depth of their safeties.
Some pressure on Dobbs. You see how to throw it away with DJ Petway coming in on. Got an Alabama team that's going to be right up there now. With just that one loss coming to Ole Miss, who was upset down at LSU tonight. Be interesting to see what the College Football Playoff Selection Committee reveals to us Tuesday night with their first rankings. Does Alabama ascend to number 3? We have nothing set to know where they were prior. Been looking at the AP poll.
I would continue to, though. And my hope is they look at the strength of this conference and what these teams have done to anybody outside of this SEC West. And you better give them the benefit of the doubt, at least to me, in these initial rankings. It's what you and I have talked all summer long when we got together as a group back in Bristol, Connecticut, with everybody in college football. You want that head-to-head competition. I don't want any hypothetical or speculative. That SEC West has beaten up everybody. And their only loss, Arkansas against Georgia, the strength of the SEC East versus the very bottom right now in the SEC West. You better give them the benefit of the doubt.
They have dominated competition beyond their division. And then only within the division, that's where you find the losses. As Ole Miss found out today, one of the toughest tasks in all of college football, trying to win a night game in Baton Rouge. And they took it right down to the wire and came up short. Lane Kiffin's return to Knoxville will go in the books as a big success. What a first quarter. He came out, put together a play sheet that struck quickly. 80-yard touchdown pass on the first play of the game. Amari Cooper was sensational tonight, setting the single game receiving yard record at Alabama with 224 yards receiving.
In the bye week, and then one more road trip. They've got to go down to LSU, who devoured and finished Ole Miss tonight. And that's it. And then it'll be Mississippi State at home and Western Carolina at home and the Iron Bowl at home. And this has been the challenge, getting away from Tuscaloosa. And could you play your style of game where you have been so dominant in your own building? And for a quarter and a half, you were tonight. And when it mattered the most in this third quarter, you turned the tide.
Well, you mentioned that Mississippi State game. It's Deshaun Hand, one of the top recruits in the entire country last year. Gets in on the action there. You mentioned that Mississippi State game, November 15th down in Tuscaloosa. What a showdown that's going to be, Brock.
Yeah, but November 8th at LSU will be pretty good, too.
Always is, isn't it? Big Howard couldn't get it.
A little corner blitz on 4th and 19, by the way, bringing the corner
right to the bitter end.
Right to the end. And Butch Jones has worn out his voice tonight. He wasn't happy with a lot of the game management of these officials. He let them have it a number of different times. And he's going to continue to let them have it. There were a lot of plays. There were some substitutions. There were some timeouts. There were some delay of games. Some real challenges, but I think more than anything, when he watches this tape, he will continue to highlight plays. The Dobbs near touchdown on the slant route, the number of times that they had Blake Sims tackled on 3rd down to get off the field. The inability early, as he said, the game sped up on him. This moment was too big for some of his young guys early as Alabama really stepped on him. Crimson Tide will put themselves, they have to now with Ole Miss's loss, right in the first, I believe 4 here. 4 coming in the AP poll tonight. Probably be 3 in the college football rankings, a bye, and then what a fantastic November we're going to have to talk about.
Hard to see it any other way as Coach Saban and Coach Jones meet at the end of another chapter written in this great college football rivalry. Tennessee tried to come back. Alabama responded on a record-setting night by Amari Cooper. 34-20 tied. SportsCenter is up next for Shannon and Brock. I'm Joe Tessitore. Have a great rest of your night, including SportsCenter right now.